Today, December the 24th, is a continuation of the talk given yesterday. Yesterday, the talk started with the Parāyana Sutta, where the Bhavari, the Brahmin ascetic, sent Ajita as well as other senior students together with their students to the Buddha to ask questions. And there was question what it means by the head and what it means by the head being dropped off. Avijja muda tijanahi. The head is avijja, ignorance. Avijja, not knowing the Four Noble Truths, not knowing the paticca samuppada, dependent origination, and so on. So based on this avijja, ignorance, sankhara, good and bad deeds are done. And because of this sankhara, there arises existences such as human and deva. Even though it is human and deva existence, even though it is said as human and deva existence and so on, but these are the continuous arising of the nama rupa. And that leads to rebirth, old age, disease, and death, and round of existences continue. The cause is avijja, ignorance. And thus avijja, ignorance, is said to be the head. It is the head of the samsara existences. Having avijja, not knowing suffering as suffering, such suffering will continue to arise. If one does not want suffering, one needs to cut the head avijja. How can the avijja head be cut? Vijja muta dipatini saddha sati samadhihi chanda viriyena sanyutta. To cut the head, vijja, knowledge. Vijja, knowledge. Not only vijja knowledge, but this vijja knowledge should associate with saddha, faith and confidence, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, chanda, will, viriya, effort. Practicing satipatthana meditation is to develop vijja, knowledge. So in order to develop knowledge, vijja, saddha is important. There should be faith and confidence. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, there mentions the 7 benefits of Satipatthana meditation. Practicing Satipatthana meditation, one can get the benefits, purification of the mind, overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, getting rid of physical pain, mental distress, attaining the path knowledge, and realizing nibbana. So these 7 benefits are guaranteed by the Buddha to those who practice Satipatthana meditation accordingly. So one should have faith and confidence in this Satipatthana practice that it can give result. The example is given. If someone is sick, the person needs to take medicine to cure. So having faith and confidence in the medicine, that this medicine will relieve and cure the illness, the person takes the medicine and will be cured. In the same way, one should, just as one should trust that the medicine can cure, in the same way, yogi needs to have faith and confidence in the practice that the Satipatthana practice can give benefits such as purification of the mind and so on, and to attain Nibbana. All the sufferings will be removed totally through this practice of Satipatthana. So in this way, having faith and confidence in the practice, if one practices diligently, one can get the benefit. One can gain the vijja, one can attain Nibbana. The sufferings will all come to an end. That's why saddha, faith and confidence, is very important in the practice. Having saddha alone is not enough. There should also be chanda, the will to practice. And viriya, effort should be made. Effort should be made to note whatever object that arises. Without making effort, one will not be able to note the object. And making effort once is not enough, twice is not enough. One should continuously make the effort to note the object one by one after another, hour by hour, minute, second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, until the goal is reached. The example is given. In the olden days, in order to make fire, 2 pieces of wood have to be rubbed together to bring heat, and it will spark and make fire. So one has to continuously keep on rubbing the 2 sticks. If the person is stopping in between, the wooden sticks will get cool and fire will not be produced. So in order to make fire, the person has to keep on continuously rubbing the 2 sticks until the fire is ignited. In the same way, in the practice of Satipatthana meditation, noting once, twice is not enough. One needs to keep on continuously making the effort, noting the object one after another continuously, so that knowledge will arise stage by stage until the final goal in meditation is reached. In this way, viriya, effort, one needs to assert every single second continuously. And sati, mindfulness, should stick onto the object that has been noted. When noting rising, mindfulness should cover from the very moment the abdomen rises all the way through until rising finishes. Noting falling, mindfulness should cover the whole falling. Noting sitting, the mindfulness should stick on the object sitting. Noting touching, the mindfulness should stick on the noting touching. So in this way, mindfulness should be sustained on the object that is arising at the present moment. When mindfulness is sustained and continuous, samadhi concentration will be developed. It is khanika samadhi, momentary concentration. The noting mind fall calm, collected on the object that has been noted moment by moment. And when sati and samadhi become continuous, one comes to discern the nature, the characteristic of the object that has been noted. When noting, rising, when sati and samadhi are strong, one notices the nature such as stiffness, tension, or movement. In this way, discerning the nature, the characteristic, vicha, knowledge, arises. There is the vipassana saying, Jata Pagata Vipassana Biniveso, meaning that in the practice of vipassana, one should note the object that is obvious. So in the nama and rupa, rupa is more obvious. In the beginning of the practice, rupa is more obvious. For those who practice the vipassana. Among the rupa, materiality, there are various kinds of materiality. Among the materiality, rupa, there are the four elements that are more obvious. Pathavi dhatu, earth element. One can notice the earth element as hardness, softness, and tejo dhatu, temperature element. One can notice it as warmth, heat, cold. Vayu dhatu, air element. One can notice it as stiffness, tension, movement, pushing, pulling. And apo dhatu, the water element, one can notice it as fluidity, cohesion, moist. When noting, yogi is noting the object such as rising, falling, or sitting, touching. One can notice any of these nature in the object that has been noted. In each of nama and rupa, there are unique individual characteristics, just like the food. The food has their own flavor, own taste, such as sweet, sour, spicy, and so on. In the same way, each of the nama rupa has their own unique characteristic. They have their own unique nature, such as stiffness, warmth, movement, and so on. So when noting the object, yogis should note in such a way so that they come to know what nature is in the object that has been noted. Yeah, I will give you an example, yeah, of making a hand, closed hand, yeah. So you have your hand, pay attention to your hand and close your hand slowly, mindfully, until it becomes a fist. Yeah, so please try it. Please focus your mind, pay attention. Slowly, mindfully close your hand until it becomes a tight fit. And pay attention. Focus your mind on it, pay attention, concentrating on it. So focusing the mind, concentrating on the hand, on this fist. What do you know? What do you notice? Hot, yes. Stiff, yes. And then? Blood? Pressure. Okay, pressure.
Ya, tekanan.
And?
Yang lainnya.
Is it light or heavy?
Ringan atau berat?
Heavy.
Berat.
Okay. My hand is getting tired. Okay, so when paying attention, you can notice the nature such as heat, yeah, hot or heat, warmth, stiffness, tension, somebody also say movement, pressure, hardness, heaviness, yeah. So each of these yogis notice the nature that is in the hand. One might notice it as tension, one might notice it as stiffness, one might notice it as hot or heat, warmth, and one might notice it as pressure, the hardness. Each of them are right in their own way, because just as I explained in earlier, in our body, these four elements are the most obvious. So when you note the object, just now in the example of this fist, when the mind falls on stiffness, you notice the stiffness. When the mind falls on heat, you notice it as heat. When the mind falls on warmth, you notice it as warmth. So if you pay attention, you can come to notice any of these nature. At this moment, you might notice it as heat. Next moment, it might be the hardness. Next moment, it might be the tension. So you have to keep on noting the object one after another, moment by moment. So this is just an example. Just as when you are mindful, when you pay attention, focus your mind, concentrate on the mind, you can come to notice these nature, stiffness, tension, warmth, pressure, and so on. In the same way, whatever object that you are noting, whether you are noting rising, whether you are noting falling, whether you are noting sitting, whether you are noting touching, and so on. Whatever object that you note, if you pay attention, if the mind is concentrated on it, you can come to notice any of the nature, any of the characteristics. So in the case of this fist, being mindful in the fist, if one is not mindful, if one is not paying attention, one will just know it just as the hand. It is avijja, not knowing correctly. But when you pay attention on this fist, when you pay attention, be mindful, concentrated on it, you come to notice the nature such as stiffness, tension, heat, warmth, and so on. So coming to know the stiffness, tension, or warmth or heat, it is vijja. So in this way, when vijja arises, avijja is automatically dispelled. Just as when you turn on the light, darkness is automatically expelled. In the same way, when you come to discern the nature such as stiffness, tension, warmth, heat, vijja arises, and as vijja arises, avijja, ignorance, is automatically dispelled at that very moment of discerning the nature, discerning the characteristic. So just like noting, being mindful of the fist, in the same way, whatever object you note rising, when you note rising, what nature do you notice? Noting falling, when you note falling, what nature do you notice? When noting sitting, you notice that sitting, what nature do you notice? And if you are noting touching, what nature do you notice? When you note the object, you must not note in such a way of reciting in your mind only, but you really have to penetrate into the nature that is in the object. So noting, observing is not reciting in the mind, but you should focus, observe so that you know what nature is in the object that you are noting. So rising, I note rising. And then if you are asked, what do you know when you note rising? You must be able to say what you come to know when you note rising. So there are three things: arising of the object, how you note, and what you come to know. So tomorrow, the interview starts. So I will explain briefly how you should report systematically. So first, when you come to the interview, you first report about your sitting meditation. And you choose the best sitting to report. You have to explain how long you were doing your sitting meditation. If you were doing half an hour, 45 minutes, or 1 hour. And you have to say what is your primary object that you were noting. Whether you were noting rising, falling, or whether you were noting sitting, touching as the primary object. And you have to explain whether you are able to note the primary object. If you can note the object precisely, and if you are able to note the primary object precisely, what you come to know. When you note it rising, yeah, for example, when I note rising, when rising occurred, I note it as rising. When I note it rising, what you come to know when you note rising? Is it the form or shape of the abdomen? Or is it the manner of moving? Or is it the nature such as stiffness or tension? And falling occurred, I noted as falling. When I noted falling, what you come to know? Whether it is the relaxation or the movement. So in this way, you should report what object arose, what you note, and what you come to know. So in this way, how long you can keep the mind on the rising, falling continuously without any breaks or gaps in between. So you have to say whether you can keep the mind continuously on the rising, falling for 3 times or 5 times or 10 times. It's just an estimate. You don't have to count. Just an estimate how long you can keep the mind on the primary object. And after that, what happens? Is it the wandering that arises? If you are able to note it wandering, if you are able to note it, what happened? Did the wandering continue? Did it stop or did it go on? And what you do? And when the wandering go away, you come back to rising, falling. And when pain arises, if you were able to note the pain. And when noting the pain, what kind of pain is it? Is it the stiff pain? Is it the heat pain? What kind of pain it is, you should describe. And when you note the pain, what happened? Did it increase? Did it decrease? Did it stop? Did it move? Did it disappear? And then whether you are able to go back to rising, falling. Or when sleepiness arises, whether you are able to notice sleepy. If you are able to notice sleepy, what do you know? Did that sleepiness go on? Did it stop? Did it go away? And whether you are able to go back to rising, falling. And if you have been noting sitting, touching, when you notice sitting, what you come to know? Is it the stiffness? Is it the hardness? Is it the tension? Is it the heaviness? Or what do you come to know? Is it the form or shape of the abdomen? Or is it the manner of sitting you come to know? Or is it the nature such as stiffness, tension, hardness? And when noting touching, what do you know when you note touching? What nature you come to know when you note touching. So in this way, you have to explain what object you are noting, how you noted it, and what you come to know. If you have not known any, do not feel depressed, you can just say, I noted rising. When I noted rising, I just know it as rising. Or when I note sitting, I just note it as sitting. And you also have to report about your walking meditation. If you have been noting, lifting, move, you have to explain. First, you do the right, left, lifting, placing. And if you are able to go on to lifting, moving, placing. When noting lifting, what do you know? Is it the form or shape of the foot, or is it the manner of lifting, or is it the nature, such as lightness or pulling? And the same with the moving, what you come to know. When you know dropping, what you come to know. So in this way, you have to report what you come to know in daily usage. Do not report, I experienced the air element or the earth element. What has been explained was just the theory so that you know. But when you are practicing, do not deliberately be analyzing the theory. You just have to note the object so that you know what it is. You know the nature, yeah? So when you come to report also, you just report in everyday language, such as when I noted lifting, I notice lightness or pulling. When I noted moving, I notice pushing or movement. So in this way, you just use normal, everyday language. And you also explain if you are able to note the daily activities. And also you must take care that you can describe your practice, sitting, walking, and daily activities within the 10 minutes that you are given. So please explain short to the point. So time is up. May you be able to practice smoothly so as to cultivate vijja, so as to remove avijja moment by moment.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.